Well, hello everybody and welcome back into my little shop here on my small farm channel. Today I am taking apart that little Ryobi 40-volt chainsaw so I can clean it up and make sure that that chain is on there good and snug before I take it out in a couple of days to do some selective logging, because I have chosen 4 trees that I think I will be using as well, kind of the main beams and posts in my upcoming chicken coop project, because I figure why pay for lumber when I gotta drop trees anyway. But today I figured I'd bring you along taking a look at the chainsaw. I may need to take a moment and tidy my bench first. Alright, so once I get that tidied up and go inside, grab the tripod, we'll kind of open up that chainsaw, take a look, see what she's got going on inside there. Yeah. Alright, couple seconds for you, probably about 20 minutes for me. I'll be right back. Alright, so some of you have probably already observed that the chain is off of this, and yes, that is in fact why I am taking it apart today. I was given a lot of well-intended suggestions. Hey man, you need to tighten the chain on your saw. Never got around to it, typical bear fashion. Now I'm paying the price for that, but it does give us the opportunity to, you know, kind of maintenance it a little bit before I get into the next bit of lumber work. Need a 1/2 inch to get off these side bolts here. Be helpful if I had this going the right direction. That's pretty easy. Alright. Tragically, also in typical bear fashion, I have totally lost the wonderful little information booklet that came with this. I thought I put it back in the chainsaw box. Apparently I didn't. I'm going to assume the wind has had its wicked way with it. But that really would make this a whole lot easier. Now, look at that mess. Alright. And clean that out. Still not used to working with the tripod, guys. Anyway, I'm going to clean that out. And down the middle. Come on. Anyway, this thing is a mess. Fair bit of caked on nastiness in there too. And that comes straight off, where we can see even more nastiness. And I wonder why this thing was griefing me. Alright, let's get you back on track. Put that to the side. And yeah, I'll pause the camera while I clean this up. I'll take a look at what kind of pile I get here. So this little pile of sawdust here is nowhere near as bad as I was expecting to pull out of that. I am, however, going to grab the air compressor, blast that a little bit cleaner before we carry on. Alright, well, it's considerably cleaner than it was. I don't know about you, but I am a tad curious to see if this will run with the blade taken off. I've got a fairly fresh battery in there. Sounds like it could use some oil, but on its own, that is pretty quiet. Okay, I'm going to put this back together, and let's go test it out on, well, I still got some fallen logs, so let's start there. Well, technically it did still work, but I'm going to be honest, that was a major pain in the ass. You can see where I'd made the initial cuts to kind of mark this log, start its life as future firewood, and this is what I cut through today. I think the chainsaw probably cut out on me 5 or 6 times there. I'm hoping it's a battery issue, so I'm going to go get a fully charged battery. I'm actually going to get the one that came with this chainsaw, and then we're going to cut another chunk off of this bigger log. I'll set the camera up for that, and if you've got any suggestions, I don't know, maybe the chain is too tight, maybe it's too loose. Maybe this chainsaw is just not all it's cracked up to be, and it figured out I did the review and now it's packing it in. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go get that other battery. Alright, so here's one of the batteries that came with the lawnmower that was in there. 4 lights, says it's at full charge. Here is the other style of battery. This is the one that came with the chainsaw. Again, 4 lights, says it's at full charge. Alright, now I've arranged the camera so hopefully you're not looking at my shorts as we do this, but let's get started. I'm going to try and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Alright, in theory this should all be on camera. Simple to start, right? You just pull the thumb, pull the trigger, and it is still giving you, doesn't always want to start grief. like this battery a lot better. Still struggling though. Gotta love real time, blah blah blah. Alright, well I don't know much, but I know a regular chainsaw probably would have been through that a hell of a lot faster. It does seem though like the chainsaw, this particular version of the chainsaw anyway, seems to prefer these smaller batteries, so that's kind of interesting. I'm going to have to check out the other larger lawnmower battery, see if it's problematic with the saw as well. I might only have the one that I can use, even though all the batteries are supposed to be interchangeable. So that's fascinating, and makes me glad I didn't pay the full $400 that they want for this thing. But all the way through that, in fact I didn't pay anything because it was sponsored by Ryobi, just full disclaimer. Oh, check it out, it says it's at 3 bars. I don't know how well that's showing up in the camera. So I'm going to move the log and give it another go. I will speed up this next clip though, because who needs that? But I'm curious to see if the battery can finish this out after everything it's been through. Enter fast forward. Strange how it does that. Still says it's got juice. I don't know why it does this though. Now, one thing interesting I found with this is I've been advised to keep the base of the saw against the wood because apparently it'll cut better, but this almost feels like it cuts smoother when I'm using the tip to go through it. I don't know if that's just me and my lack of experience, or that's something to do with the saw, but that only occasionally starting thing is driving me a little nuts. Now that I'm trying to prove the point though, of course it works. Good for the camera. Huh. Alright, I need a product that's good for the homestead. So far, that thing is working. I guess I'll take this one off next. Oopsie. We'll see how it does for this. If the battery makes it all the way through. Like I say, we're at about halfway according to those little dots. Well, that's a bad idea. Let's wedge that. Wedge it a little at least. Yep, oddly enough, it does seem to perform better on this part of the blade. And then just this last cut here, this ought to be interesting. Probably not safe. let's face it, we've all done it. So we finished up that chunk of log, took most of this battery, and it does definitely look like, unfortunately, this little 40 volt chainsaw, as much as it was supposed to be an addition to my battery collection, this is the only battery that seems to really work with. Tragic. Upside, this battery works just fine with the lawnmower, so take what I can get. Ultimately, am I still happy with this thing? I'm not as happy as I was when I did the review, because I can't start it consistently. That really bothers me. Really is quite easy to clean up and tighten the chain and all that stuff. It is really nice to work without the fumes of the gasoline, without the heat of the muffler. But yeah, it needs to start each and every time. That is my issue with this one. I don't know, maybe if they made like an 80 volt one of these things, 2 of these batteries in here, I'd probably be pretty killer. Probably be kind of heavy too, but anyway, point and purpose of today was to try and get that chainsaw back up and running, put the blade back, or chain back on the blade rail, I don't know, whatever it's technically called, and basically make sure that I was going to be able to bring down the trees that I have selected for my future chicken coop. Like this one here. Stays pretty much this diameter for like 40 feet. Gonna be perfect. Gotta admit, I'm pretty curious to see how all that's gonna come together. Do be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to know when those videos come up. I'm trying to put videos up on Tuesdays and Fridays here on my small farm channel. So yeah, I think the next one coming up is probably going to be taking a kick at that cultivator, because I want to clean up an area back beside the long shed there with the chickens in mind. And then after that, I've got to go grab those raspberries from the field before it gets too cold to be out doing that. So yes, lots to come. Stay tuned. I will see you guys in the next video.